And ketones. So today we will start with reduction. Now when we talk about reduction of aldehydes and ketones, then we know that aldehydes can be reduced to alcohol, okay, because the reduction of aldehyde forms alcohol. Also we can reduce aldehydes to alkanes. So either we reduce them to alcohol or we reduce them to alkanes. So now we will see the methods for these reductions. We take example of a aldehyde CH3C double bond OH. Now reduction means removal of oxygen, addition of hydrogen. Now for conversion of aldehyde to alcohol, the alcohol will be CH3, this C will be CH, okay, and this will become OH. See, if we write it, we can write CH3 CH2OH. Okay. Now because this reduction is one step reduction, so the reducing agents which we need here may be a strong reducing agent, may be a weak reducing agent. That means we can use here sodium borohydride, which is a weak reducing agent. We can use here lithium aluminium hydride, which is a strong reducing agent. We can also use hydrogen in presence of nickel, palladium or platinum. So any of the reducing agent can be used to convert aldehyde into alcohol. Okay. Now as aldehydes can be reduced, same way ketones can also be reduced. So let us take example of one ketone CH3C double bond O CH3. Same reducing agents can be used, okay, lithium aluminium hydride or catalytic hydrogenation H2 in nickel, palladium or platinum, or sodium borohydride. Then it will result in H in formation of 2 degree. This was 1 degree alcohol. This is 2 degree alcohol. It results in the formation of 2 degree alcohol. So when ketones are reduced, they form 2 degree alcohol. When aldehydes are reduced, they form 1 degree alcohol. Okay. Now, other than these reducing agents, if we want to reduce aldehydes or ketones to alkenes, then these reducing agents will not work. We require some other reducing agents to convert aldehyde or ketones into alkanes directly. So for them we have two name reactions also, means these reactions are also name reactions. So first one is Clemmensen reduction. Okay. In Clemmensen reduction, what is there? Let us take aldehyde CH3H. When aldehyde is reduced, in presence of zinc amalgam, any metal dissolved in mercury is known as amalgam. So this is zinc amalgam. So here the reducing agent used is zinc amalgam, which is giving hydrogens for reduction. So when this is reducing aldehyde, it will be converted into this CH3 as it is H, and this will be converted into H2. Okay, so simply we can write it as, if in this manner we are writing, if we write it in a straight chain form, that is CH3 C double bond O H, then it is reduced by zinc amalgam, then it will be forming CH3, and this C is getting reduced, so losing oxygen, and hydrogens are getting added for these two bonds, and H was already here, so it has become CH3 single bond CH3, that is ethane. That means this was ethanol. So ethanol is reduced to ethane by using zinc amalgam, and the name given to this reaction is Clemmensen reduction. Okay, this is one of the way to convert aldehydes or ketones to alkanes. The same way ketones can also be converted. Let us take one example with ketone also. That is CH3 C double bond O CH3. Okay, when reduced by zinc amalgam, then this double bond O will be lost and two hydrogens will be added. So it will be CH3. This C will have two hydrogens, and already there was CH3. So this is acetone or propanol, which is converted into propane. Okay, so this is Clemmensen's reduction. Second method to convert aldehydes or ketones into alkanes is another name reaction, that is Wolff-Kishner reduction. Okay, the next name reaction is Wolff-Kishner reduction. In this reaction also, aldehydes or ketones are reduced to form alkanes. Okay, they will be forming alkanes. Now, what are the reagents which are used here, that we have to see. So first we take example of a aldehyde again, CH3 H double bond O, when reacts with NH2 NH2, this is hydrazine. We had done the reaction with hydrazine. Okay, so already because we have done the reaction with it, we know that we have to eliminate water. Okay, so instead of writing H, I will write H here. Okay, so this is hydrazine. In the first step, water molecule will be lost, minus H2O, and we will get CH3C H double bond N NH2. Hydrazine will give hydrazone. This is hydrazine. So intermediate hydrazone is formed, which in the next step on treatment with KOH in presence of ethylene glycol, in the next step will form alkane CH2. This will be reduced, H was already here, and this is CH3. Okay, That means what is formed? CH3, CH3 plus byproduct nitrogen will be there. So again we are getting CH3 bond CH3. When we are using ethanol, we are getting ethane. So this reaction is known as Wolff-Kishner reduction when hydrazine is used as a reducing agent to convert aldehydes or ketones to alkanes. Okay. Now one example with ketone we can take. It will be just same as we have done with Clemmensen reduction. Only the change is in the reagent. The reaction will remain the same. Okay. So we write ketone here. C double bond O CH3 CH3. Okay. Which on treatment with NH2 NH2, water molecule is lost. That means O from this and hydrogen from this, and we will get CH3, this C, this CH3 writing downside, and this C with double bond connected to NH2. Hydrazone is obtained as an intermediate which on treatment with KOH and ethylene glycol will form CH3. This C will be reduced CH2 CH3 plus nitrogen. So this is propane. So propanone will give propane. No change in the number of carbon atoms. It is as it is, only oxygen is removed and hydrogen is added. That is why it is reduction of aldehydes and ketones. So we have these three reactions for reduction of aldehyde and ketone. Two are name reaction, both are important, Wolff-Kishner reduction and Clemmensen's reduction. Okay. Now after reduction, another important reactions are oxidation reaction of aldehydes and ketones. They can be reduced as well as they can be oxidized to acids also. So now next we come to their oxidation reactions. Oxidation of aldehydes and ketones. Now, if we talk about oxidation of aldehyde, general aldehyde we are taking RCHO oxidized to give RCOOH acids. Okay. Now, aldehydes are easily oxidized. Why aldehydes are easily oxidized? Because in case of aldehydes, if we see the structure, R, C, double bond O and H is there, and on oxidation what is happening? R, C, double bond O and one O and H. O is introduced between C and H. So this is easier, just without breaking any bond, the O is introduced and the molecule is getting oxidized. So it is very easy. So even a weak reducing agent, oxidizing agent can oxidize aldehydes into acids. When weak can do, definitely strong oxidizing agents can do it very easily. So for oxidation of aldehydes, if we talk, we can use any oxidizing agent. We can use here concentrated nitric acid, which is a very strong oxidizing agent. We can use K2Cr2O7 potassium dichromate, which is a strong oxidizing agent. We can use KMNO4, which is again a strong oxidizing agent. Along with these Aldehydes can also be oxidized by very weak oxidizing agents like Tollens reagent or Fehling solution. These two are very weak oxidizing agents and can only oxidize aldehydes into acids. They cannot oxidize ketones into acids. Why they cannot do, we will just see. Okay, so any out of these can convert aldehyde into acid CH3COOH, because the conversion of aldehydes into acid is easier without breaking any bond. Only O is introduced between C and H. Now what is the case with ketones? Now we have to see. Now in case of ketones, if we see CH3, C double bond O, CH3. When ketones are to be oxidized, now ketone cannot be oxidized into acid without breaking any bond. Either this bond or this bond has to be broken. Out of the two, any one bond will be broken and then only it can be oxidized to form a acid, because acid is a terminal group. So either this bond is broken, suppose this bond is broken, then it will give CH3COOH. This part will give one acid and the remaining part is having one carbon. So this will form HCOOH. That means in case of ketones, first thing, it will be oxidized only with the help of a strong oxidizing agent. Second thing, the acid which will be formed will have lesser number of carbon atom than the original ketone, because one bond is required to be broken in case of ketones. Then only it can convert into acids. So it will be oxidized only by strong oxidizing agents. Only strong oxidizing agents can do it. Means concentrated HNO3, acidified KMNO4 and acidified K2Cr2O7. Only these will convert it into acid, and that also by breaking any of the bond. Okay. Now what about Tollens reagent and Fehling solution? These two cannot oxidize ketones. That means these two can be used as tests to distinguish between aldehyde and ketone, because these two will oxidize aldehydes but will not oxidize ketones to acids. Okay, so these two are used as tests to distinguish aldehydes and ketones. Now we take example of a ketone. The example which we had recently taken, CH3, C double bond O, CH3. Now in this condition, when it is oxidized by strong oxidizing agents, because this is a symmetrical molecule, symmetrical means on the carbon which is having double bond O, both the sides equal number of carbon atoms are present, one this side, one this side. 2 are there, then also it is symmetrical. So when symmetrical ketones are there is no question that bond will be broken from which side. If it breaks from, suppose, this side, then also the product will be CH3COOH for this side, and remaining side will be HCOOH. The same molecule, suppose this time the bond breaks from this side. So this molecule on oxidation will form CH3COOH and the remaining part will form HCOOH. So for symmetrical molecules, the type of product form will be same. But if the molecules are not symmetrical, means if I make CH3, CH2, C double bond O, CH3. Now when this molecule is oxidized, there are two possibilities. Whether the bond will break from this side or the bond will break from this side. So first we will see one by one that which side bond is breaking. Suppose the bond is breaking from this side. Then what will be the products? It will be CH3COOH. This will be oxidized plus this has 2 carbon atoms, so it will also be CH3COOH. Both the molecules will be of acetic acid. But if the bond cleaves from this side, then what will be the product? One product will be CH3, CH2, COOH, that is propanoic acid, plus this side will be HCOOH. So two different type of products are obtained. Now out of the two, this is major product, this is minor product. How we decided that which one is minor and which one is major? Now to decide this, there is a rule which is known as Popoff's rule. Rule is Popoff's rule. The rule says that whenever ketones are oxidized and the bond has to be cleaved, so the preference is always given to the cleavage of the bond in such a manner that the carbonyl carbon and oxygen goes with the smaller chain. Out of the two, this is in between, out of the two parts, whichever chain is smaller, this part will go with that. Okay, so when in this chain if we see this part, this chain is smaller, this is bigger. So as a rule, these two should go together to form acetic acid and remaining also acetic acid. That's it. That is why we said that the major product is this, but it is not like Markovnikov rule that only one product is formed. In this we are saying major and minor. That means preference is given to this, but at the same time some amount of second side bond cleavage product is also formed. That is why some minor amount of this product is also obtained. But major product will be this.
Ma'am, to repeat the rule.
The rule says that when cleavage of the bond has to take place, so the carbonyl group will move with that chain which is having lesser number of carbon atom. So this is in between, this group is in middle. Okay, now see the chains on both the sides. Whichever chain is smaller, this part will move with it and convert into CH3COOH, and remaining part will again oxidize to form acid. Okay, so this is Popoff's rule. So this is about oxidation of ketones using strong oxidizing agents.
Ma'am, if the chain is at the terminal.
Chain is like middle.
At terminal, ma'am.
See, if it is terminal, how it can be ketone? Ketone will always be in the mid, means either at least one group will always be there, then only it will be known as ketone. If it is terminal, it will become aldehyde. Okay, so it is not possible with terminal, because and the rule is not applied for aldehyde, it is only for which reaction? This one, last one.
Yes, ma'am.
See, we take another example. Okay, take another example with take a ketone having CH2 CH3 group this side and CH2 and CH3 group this side. Now, if this is carbonyl carbon of ketone, then this side the number of carbon atoms are 2 and this side the number of carbon atoms are 3. Now, the product has to be formed after oxidation. Okay, then what will happen? The carbonyl carbon, now the chain has to break, either this bond or this bond should break to form the product. But the major product will be what? This group will move with that chain which has less carbon. So this side there are only 2 carbons, this side only there are 3 carbons. So this bond will be cleaved in this manner to form CH3, CH2 and COOH. And other part has 3 carbons, so it will be CH3, CH2 and this will be oxidized to form acid. This will be product, major product. And minor product will be some amount of opposite side product will also be there. That means in some molecules, because whenever reaction takes place, the number of molecules are very large. So some maximum molecules will break in this manner. But some molecules also break in the manner that the bond cleaves this way. So whatever product we have written here, this is according to Popoff's rule. But some amount of product is also formed opposite. That means instead of the carbonyl carbon going with a smaller part, now the carbonyl carbon is going with longer part. So it will have now 4 carbon. Already there were 3, one more is added. So it will be CH3, CH2, CH2, COOH and remaining has only 2. So it will be CH3 and this oxidized to COOH. So this is oxidation of aldehyde of ketones which are having unsymmetrical number of carbon atoms. Okay, on both the side of carbonyl. Clear now? Now, as we told that Tollens reagent is used to distinguish between aldehydes and ketones. So we talk about Tollens reagent test. And why it is a test? I always say test is something which specifies some color change, some visible change or some smell. Okay. So what is there in this test that we can use it as a test? So what is Tollens reagent actually? Tollens reagent is ammonical silver nitrate. Ammonical silver nitrate is known as Tollens reagent. That means silver nitrate dissolved in ammonium hydroxide. Then it becomes ammonical silver nitrate, and when these two combine, they form a complex AgNH3 whole twice 1 positive. This is not a normal compound. It is a coordination compound. We know silver has 1 positive charge and NH3 is a neutral molecule, no charge, positive, negative. So this NH3 whole twice is actually coordinated with Ag. Silver, it is having coordinate bond with it. That in coordination chemistry chapter we will study in detail. But this Ag is having its charge here. Along with that, it is coordinated with these 2 ammonia molecules because coordination number of silver is 2. Coordination number and charge is different. Okay. So this is the complex which is formed and the medium is ammonical. So it is NH4OH. This ammonical silver nitrate will act on aldehyde.
मैम ये अमोनिकल गया पर उसमें ऑक्सीजन आ गया
किसमें? See it in this complex it is not used, but this is used is formed as a byproduct. So byproduct not needed, so we are not writing. Okay, main compound which is needed is this and the medium remains basic, so OH is also there. with it, which will be required in reaction, and rest part is as byproduct. So RCHO, when aldehyde is taken, when it reacts with AgNH3 whole twice, one positive plus OH negative, which is basic medium. Now what will happen? RCHO will be oxidized to acid RCOO, one negative, H positive will also be there. Then Ag is one positive here, will be reduced to Ag. Aldehyde is oxidized, silver is reduced, plus water is formed. This Ag, this is silver mirror, because silver metal is shiny, so it deposits in the test tube and shines like mirror. The silver shines like mirror. That is why this is known as Tollens reagent test or silver mirror test. Okay, so this will be given by aldehyde because it is a weak oxidizing agent. This R may be AR also, means both aliphatic as well as aromatic aldehydes will give this test. Okay. Similarly, the another test which we have talked about was Fehling test or Fehling reagent test. So we will write that also. Fehling's solution test. Okay. Now, this test is given by copper ions. Now, what is actually Fehling's solution? It is combination of Fehling A and Fehling B. Two solutions are mixed together, Fehling A and Fehling B. Fehling A is aqueous solution of copper sulfate, CuSO4, and Fehling B is alkaline solution of sodium potassium tartrate. Combination of these two. Okay, combination of these two is used as Fehling's solution. Now, by combining these two, what we obtained is cupric ion. After combining these two, a deep blue colored solution is obtained, which give us Cu2 positive cupric ions, and these cupric ions are reduced and aldehydes are oxidized. And when these cupric ions are reduced to form cuprous ion, the red color PPT is formed. That is why this is again used as a test. So one reaction for this also we will write. We will write the reaction only with Cu2 positive because the formula for it is not required to write with the reaction. It's too big formula. So only the ion which is responsible we are writing that. So RCHO when reacts with Cu2 positive, two ions will take plus 5OH negative alkaline solution, so basic medium is there. Then aldehydes are oxidized, RCOO, aldehyde will be oxidized, this will be reduced to form Cu2O. This is cuprous oxide. This was cupric ion, cuprous oxide, which is a red color PPT, precipitate. Okay, plus water molecules are formed. Okay, So this is your reaction for Fehling test, which is given by aldehydes, not given by ketones. Fehling solution is comparatively much weak as compared to Tollens reagent. That is why only aliphatic aldehydes give this test. Aromatic aldehydes do not give Fehling test because it is much weak as compared to Tollens reagent also. So even it cannot oxidize aromatic aldehydes because oxidation of aromatic aldehydes is little more, it requires little more strong oxidizing agent as compared to aliphatic. Okay, so this is about Fehling solution test, and this is also important as the property of aldehyde and ketone, and also as test to distinguish between aldehyde and ketones. So for both ways it is important.